Everything happens for a reason. The reason causes change. Sometimes it hurts, sometimes it's hard, but in the end, it's all for the best. This is another Monday edition with the brand new co hosts, Dr. Tommy Eanelli and Angel. Have faith, let it begin. Starts right now.
Welcome to Have Faith. Let it begin. Here's your host, Angel Santana.
Ariel, can you say have faith?
Again.
Let it begin?
Again.
Say have faith.
Again.
Let it begin.
No.
No? Okay.
It's a boy.
Hi, Noah.
Noah!
Noah.
Happy birthday, Noah!
Caitlin.
You did amazing.
You just put those notes in. Noah.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Monday edition. Happy Monday. We are here, and it's a great way to start the week. It's Monday, April 25th, 2022, our final week of May, and I can't think of any other way to start it with the brand new edition of Have Faith, Let It Begin with my good friend to the end, Dr. Tommy Eanelli. Dr. Tom.
Happy Monday, Angel. It's such a pleasure. I love this idea of being a Monday quick start, jump start, nitro cold brew, living, breathing rainbow with you, Angel, getting all of our Have Faith, Let It Begin listeners up and ready for a week of being warriors.
Absolutely. And I hope everybody enjoyed. We had some great feedback from our last edition, and we're going to keep rolling. So without further ado, you heard the introduction about everything happens. And I think that's what we're going to go with. The title today is Things Happen. That's the title. You know, I am going to give everybody a little background story, and then we're going to kind of piggyback off of it. I remember being a young child and going to the doctors. And I was a young boy. I was like 13 or 14 years old. And the doctor that was my pediatrician was brand new. And this particular doctor decided he was going to educate me and my mother about my weight. Unfortunately, his bedside manner was not the way I would assume any pediatrician to do or to be with any child. He scarred me. He basically, I'm just going to come out and say it. He said that I looked like I was a young girl because I had male breasts. He also asked me what I ate for breakfast this morning. I told him I had 2 pancakes. He told me it looked like I had 5. And this was all before the visit even occurred. Things happen. Situations were put in, happen. Over the next couple of years, we made sure that every time we went, we did not want to see that gentleman. And this happened in the early part of the, 90s, early 80s, late 80s, early 90s. Fast forward, when I hit my senior year, it was the last time I was allowed to go to the pediatrician because I was coming to that age where I had to start seeing an actual primary care doctor. And the only doctor that was on duty was the same doctor that I didn't want to see. When he walked in, at this point, I'm now, no longer 4 foot. Here I am at a certain height where we can see eye to eye. And I let him give me the physical. At the end, I looked him dead in the eye and I said to him, "You have scarred me for the rest of my life. I have always looked in the mirror and I always feel that I am this young, chubby kid that you have perceived me to be. I want you to know that if I ever have any children, I would never let them come see you." Here's a news flash. About 15 years later, I just found out recently that this particular doctor was arrested and is now serving multiple years in jail. We're not going to get into it, but I think you can understand he was definitely not destined to be a pediatrician for the rest of his life. I think today's episode is fitting because, Tom, you're a doctor. Mm-hmm. We talk a lot about this. It's a very deep discussion. And I think we're going to make this into a 2-part episode because I think this is something that we need to discuss, as me being a patient, you're a doctor. And we've talked about this on the CROC podcast about bedside manner This is a very, very big part of what we do at the CROC podcast. And I would love to hear your input on what you thought you've heard. I've never shared that story with you.
It's such a profound story, and Angel, I'm so honored to hear it, and as I'm sure all of your listeners are. For anybody out there, Angel and I do share that unfortunate, what would you say, situation where we both were overweight, had obesity issues, food relationship issues, and we're both bullied and made fun of. And we've done a lot of podcasts on the medical side talking about the power of words, how doctors use words that can be so hurtful, so scarring. I know the doctor actually who saw you. I actually know the details behind his nefarious alter ego or other life. I know him. I knew him as a person, having been on hospital committees with him, and knew what a real weaselly son of a bitch he really was. Just not a nice, kind person, not the kind of person that you would want to be a doctor, unfortunately. And we as doctors, we have to take a step back and recognize that we can hurt people with our scalpels, but we can also hurt them with our tongues. And, and I think bias is really important too. Anybody who would make have a patient be emotionally scarred is really a criminal in my mind. And I have had moments where I've regretted some of the words that come out of my mouth, but it's a learning experience. All doctors are human, and really you have to look at the whole picture. But some of the guys and gals that I went to medical school with, I mean, they just weren't nice folk. They were smart. They went to great colleges. They were Ivy Leaguers, but not nice. I mean, walking in and calling a kid fat or calling him a girl or saying that he had boobs or whatever, probably not the best strategy for success. My wife, in one of her, incarnations, did nutrition, and she would see a lot of young people like you and I, Angel. And she was so kind with her words, and she would try to be a cheerleader and try to, because he not only didn't motivate you to lose weight, he probably demotivated you. So yeah, I mean, I am right there with you, and I'm so sorry of how you were scarred. But what were the changes? You mentioned these events could then become a change. Did you make a change sort of to spite him, or did you make your changes because you knew you wanted to be healthy? Like, how did he motivate or demotivate you in your process?
For me, at that time in my life, when I was able to stand up for myself with him being there, I mean, my mother didn't even want to go for that last visit. My mother, it was just traumatic for her. But I guess what I'm trying to get at is, at that time, I was already diagnosed with scoliosis. I had already had a back brace. And I knew that there was things that were kind of happening in my life that were bigger and more serious, and name calling and all that didn't hurt me anymore, because I just had a different perspective in life. I knew, because my parents always told me, that as long as I am true to who I am, and as long as I never change who I am, the sticks and stones, they can break your bones, but names will never call you. It's a cliche, but it's the reality of it. So I knew I had to lose weight because of my back issue. But he never really motivated me. I'd be lying to you if I said how he did. He didn't. He made me want to eat more. Every time I would get called, fat boy, that was the nickname I was called at home from my brothers. And
I was gonna mention that. Like, I was gonna say we should do a deep dive on fat bigotry or fat bias, and how mean and cruel people could be. We should do that.
Yeah, I mean, it just didn't make it any easier. And obviously, we just touched base on this in yesterday's episode of the CROC podcast, whereas you can actually be fearful of a doctor.
Yes.
I actually was okay with the dentist, because the dentist is not going to look at your body. He's going to look at your teeth. Whereas every time I'd see a doctor, any doctor at this point, even if it was my, orthopedic doctor, I was worried he was going to tell me I was heavy, but he was the only one that had those nasty negative words. And so, he didn't, to answer your question, he didn't motivate me at all. He made it worse.
Yeah. And again, listen, it would be actually malpractice, especially in this day and age, Angel. Even in the 90s, it was a problem, but even now it's forget about it. Now it's like it's endemic. Childhood obesity is a problem. And, and there are young kids being diagnosed with diabetes and young kids having hypertension because of their obesity. So it is the doctor's responsibility to try to help that patient who might have an obesity issue, a food issue, a food relationship issue, a food disorder, eating disorder. But the mechanism of how that practitioner delivers the message and how they can then make a impactful change in that person's life for their health. I think that's the key.
And then over time, as I got older and I got more influence with God, I've learned to forgive him, and I don't hate the man. I feel bad for his family that he's in prison. But things happen. And how do I tie this all into we're talking about a topic. How do I tie this into a message? It's quite simple. In life, things are going to happen to you, us. It's what we do with the things that are presented to us, whether it's negative, whether it's positive, whether it's a storm, whether it's a triumph, a victory lap, regardless of whatever it is that is in your life, it's going to happen. We can't predict it. We cannot expect it to happen like this or slow. We don't know. But what we do know is no matter what happens to any of us, we all have this armor. And the armor that we have is invisible, but it is not penetratable. If I said that right. We always make up words here, but you cannot penetrate this armor.
Yes.
It's impossible.
Impregnable.
Yeah.
I just made that up too. If you're going to make them up, I'm going to make them up too.
So that's really what today's message is. We're going to take a deep dive into part 2. We're going to get a little bit more detailed. We're not even going to have a formal introduction. The second one, we're just going to dive right in. So, so today we're going to close out this first episode entitled "Things Happen." We'll see you next Monday for the continuation of this.
Yes.
And I'm just going to cut it right there. And that's how this is going to end. So, understand that God is with everybody. And I hope that each and every one of you have a blessed day. And we're going to continue this next week. And without further ado, may God be with you. May he shine his light upon you and grant each and every one of you peace on earth. And never forget,
have faith. Let it begin.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Have Faith, Let It Begin. That's right, Ariel. We're done with another show. And it's always great to have this show with you, man love. We're going to encourage each and every person to listen to our show every single weekday. That's right. You and I are going to help change the world. Do you think that you can do that for me? Huh? Yeah, you can. She does. We want to let you know, and yes, we encourage you to listen to our show each and every weekday, and it's going to be live at 7:30. Make sure you're subscribed to our show. Make sure you get ready, fasten those seatbelts, because Ariel and I and my family are going to bring you a new topic, a new story each and every day, right? Isn't that right, Ariel? Yeah. And she's smiling at me. Guys, enjoy your day.